The truth is that we have all fallen short of the glory of God. Romans chapter 10 says, we have all sinned. We cannot meet the standards. God is so pure. He is so perfect.
Yeah.
There is some area of our life at some point that we have failed. We have been hypocritical. We have said we should live this way, and we cannot live that way.
Right.
You might even be able to live a fairly good life. Like, I can look back at my life and say there's just only been a few times I think I crossed a line that was sin, right? Outright sin. Probably you would laugh if I told you what those little crimes were. But I can guarantee that when you examine it in light of God, not Moses' laws, not society's laws, not even the laws that the church says, this is who you should be. I'm telling you, the pure streaming light of God, who knows no shadow of turning. He is so perfect. We've all fallen short.
Yeah.
All of us. None of us qualify. We need Jesus. He was the atonement for our shortcomings. It is his strength we have to exchange for our weaknesses. There is a divine exchange that happens that gives us the power to overcome. And that is what we partake of. He was the perfect lamb sacrificed because we cannot be. He came to give us freedom from the law by fulfilling it. And so the question then becomes, what rules do we live by? What rules do we live by if no one can meet them anyway? And you've got this hedonistic group out here who's just like, let's just party. Let's just have fun. Let's have no laws at all. Let's have no rules. And then you have the group over here that gets real nervous and they're like, no, we've got to live by these rules.
Laws.
We have to have them. We must have this.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about society or the way our society runs. I'm talking about spirituality. I'm talking about our church, our spirituality, the way that we conduct ourselves as Christians. And Jesus explained this. He answered it too. And so because he is the chief cornerstone, I'm just going to use his words. Matthew 22, he replied, all of the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. So after Jesus, we live by a new law. And everything that Paul instructs us to do, everything he guides us to do, everything that Jesus instructed was not so that we would have a list of rules. It is all fulfilled in these two things. They broke it down in simple form and in measurable ways. And Paul would say, you all need to forbear with each other. You over here need to have more grace for each other. You over here need to do this. You need to stop doing this. You need to stop doing that. But when you sum it all up, the summary was in this law, and it is the law of love. Jesus said, they all hang on these two commandments now.
Yeah.
Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind. If you are doing that, if you are actively practicing that in your life, you are going to your life is going to look dramatically and radically different than someone else who isn't doing that. You're automatically going to say no to certain things. You're automatically going to embrace others because you're always lining it up to that standard. And it's a standard of, I think, rather than, I love that the Lord's language now is not no, but rather yes. I'm not saying no to all these things. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this.
Right.
I'm now saying yes to love. I'm saying I'm going to open up my heart to the Lord, and I'm going to give him all of my heart, all of my soul, and all of my mind. And in order to embrace the Lord, I immediately began to jettison certain things, jettison certain behavior. I want to be rid of it. I want him to help me rid of it. I want to move away from this. I'm not going to have this hardness of heart. I'm not going to have this unforgiveness. I'm going to immediately begin to clean my act up because I want this with him. Yeah. That's the first and greatest, Jesus said, the greatest commandment. So my life immediately is going to begin to reflect that. Yeah. And then the second is love your neighbor as yourself. And I want to talk about that a little bit because the Lord has had to give me a little bit of revelation on this one because I was not raised with this revelation. I wasn't really taught this because we immediately, in hearing that, say, oh, we gotta love our neighbor. Then we have to love our neighbor. Right. They're the most important. But the Lord has always pointed out to me, no, I didn't ask you to love yourself less than your neighbor. I asked you that as you go to make decisions that you do consider your neighbor. You are considerate.